Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's Mike here at Games from Scratch. Today we're talking about Humble, but nope, we're not talking about Humble Bundle. Instead, we are talking about Humble Games. What is Humble Games? Well, it is a new publishing arm aimed at indie developers of the Humble people. So Humble Bundles, you probably no doubt know about, especially if you're a regular to this channel. They do game development related content all the time, and I make it my point of covering because they're almost always amazing deals. They also do game deals, they do book deals, and so on. And they're actually owned by Ziff Davis, so the parent company of IGN Entertainment. So this is a well-funded, well-established company, and now they're getting more and more into the publishing space. So that is what Humble Games is all about. They're trying to be a publisher that is friendly to both charity and indie games. So try and get your view out there. If you need to get some funding, if you want to, get better promo for your games, that is the entire idea behind Humble Games. And the cool thing is they're already pretty well established. So even though they're taking applications for people now, they've actually been a publisher for a couple of games already. And these are games you have no doubt heard of. So if you're interested in checking it out, first off, we are looking right now at humblegames.com, but let's head on over here. Some of the games that they have published, we see here, and again, I'm not a huge gamer these days, I just don't have the time, sadly, but even then, if we go through this list, I have played and loved Void Bastards. Played that on the Xbox, by the way, so you can see that they've actually got multi-store deals here. It's not just to be sold on the Humble store, it'll also be sold on the Steam store, I think Epic Games Store, potentially, and it's also on platforms. And at the same time, Slay the Spire is another title that they were involved in publishing that I absolutely love. So they are a publisher with some credence right now. I don't know if you recognize any of the other titles on this list, but those are games that they were behind. So if you're interested, you were looking for, a little bit of promo or a little bit of funding for your game, that's what they're all about here. Humble Games is available, once again, humblegames.com. Now we're going to jump into the who we are thing, and that is, oh, I went too far. I went into the work with us thing. So here we are, a Humble Bundle. You probably already know who they are. They've got a pretty good reputation for sure. So why should you publish with Humble Games? And it kind of comes down to a couple things. First one is brand. As I mentioned, they have a pretty good reputation right now. In fact, I don't know anyone that has a real negative view of Humble. If you do, if you've had a bad experience with Humble, I'd be really interested to hear it down below, because I've covered dozens of bundles from Humble, and I don't think I've ever seen anything negative about Humble themselves. They just seem to be a good store with a good value, with a good ethics behind it. So, they're loved by millions of gamers and thousands of industry partners, and I think that's fairly accurate. I think people also basically trust Humble. I know I personally do. Next one, and this one is big for game developers potentially, is you get to keep your IP ownership. So if you make the next Angry Birds, that's not going to lose you out on potentially millions or billions of dollars. They can't just run around and make films out of it or whatever, or future games, and cut you out of the situation. You own your IP, and that is actually more rare than you might think. Of course, with all publishing deals, the key one here is marketing. They will market your game with a dedicated team of experienced publishing marketers. And I gotta know, this is an area where if you're a one-man, two-man indie development effort, you probably don't have a lot of marketing skills. A lot of people have actually made great games and they went, I couldn't get anyone to buy it because I couldn't get anyone to see it. There's where a publisher can really come in handy, is that someone that can get your eyes in front of the people that want to buy your game. And then, of course, Humble itself has a built-in customer base. They've got over 12 million customers, which is nothing to sneeze at. I know when you compare that against, the 50 or 60 million on Xbox Live or PlayStation 4, it doesn't look so big, but compared to almost everybody else that isn't named Steam, 12 million customers is pretty solid. And we get into financing, and that's kind of a big one there. So you get money up front. So if you are struggling to complete your game, you need some cash to make it work, well, the financing is there as well. Creative control, they look for developers and gamers we believe in. We want you to be able to build the game of your dreams. So basically more hands-off with how the game is actually developed, less meddlesome and so on. For productions, you will receive a dedicated producer to help you with all the technical milestones, processes, and challenges you may encounter. Probably another one of those areas where if you've got no prior production experience for building a game, this could be absolutely invaluable. And then here, we will help you succeed not just on the Humble Store, but on Steam, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, and more. And that is another area of challenge for indie developers, because getting a hold of those kits to get into those worlds, to be approved for the NDA for a Sony PlayStation developer kit or a Microsoft developer kit or even a Switch kit, can be a little challenging. They get you in, they have those relationships already established, so that is definitely nice. And again, they've published some games already, so we've partnered with with a number of amazing developers across a variety of genres. Take a moment to check out these great games, and we already looked at them. There is a solid set here. In terms of if you want to apply, the application is available here. It brings you to here. And there's not a lot of information being kind of given away here, so you kind of you fill in your email address, game's public or private website, what makes your game unique, how much funding do you need to complete the PC version of your game, what kind of support are you looking for, various different areas, share your estimated release window and price point for the PC, what engine and middleware are you using, please share a gameplay video of your current build, and then we've got the terms and services over here and the privacy policy over here. Those are more the generic Humble Bundle ones, so there's no extra real information captured in there, and sadly that is all we have right now. Now the last thing of somewhat interest, this isn't the same thing, but all of those games that they currently publish, well, they have a sale going on right now. I'll link this down below. By the way, if you buy it using my link, it actually gives a small kickback to the channel, so thank you if you do that. But you see here, they've got a lot of the games I was talking about that they're publishing, they're on sale, various different amounts. I guess these ones are brand new. You see here, Void Bastards is 33% off, Slay the Spire is 50% off, which, by the way, I highly recommend. And if you buy more and more games, you get more and more discounts. So if you get 5 games here, you get 15% off each of them on top of the on-sale price here. So definitely a potential opportunity to get a hold of some of these games. And I guess it's one of those examples of how Humble is, capable of supporting their actual developers. They do have their own store. They do have these deals, and people like me do point people at these deals. I don't normally point at gaming deals, but this one kind of just related. So Humble Store itself is available up here, so you probably know mostly Humble from the bundles, but they do actually have a full-blown game store as well. I don't know if you've ever checked it out before, but you've got full titles like Warhammer 2. This is just coming out. Generally, when you buy on Humble, it's redeemed as a Steam key when it's a game anyways, so just to be aware, that's what you're buying here. So yeah, that is the newly launched Humble Games publishing line. It's interesting. I will be really interested to see where Humble Games goes. I'd also be interested to hear what you guys think of first off, a publisher. Are you looking for that little bit of help for that promo, for the maybe some funding, that kind of stuff, or help getting your game onto consoles? Humble Games, I don't know. I think they're someone I trust. They're in that right size for, not a AAA publisher that won't give you the time of day. So I don't think you're going to go to them and get, $5 million worth of publishing. But I also don't think that they will make you sell your soul like you would to go to an EA. And they're more likely to deal with smallish indie teams. So I'm always excited to see these kinds of people out there. And yeah, interested to hear what you think. And I know you're obviously going to have the question of, well, what did they get out of it? What's the publisher take here? And unfortunately, I have no clue. It's one of those things. I think you have to get a hold of them and find that out yourself. And I wouldn't be surprised that what they take is dependent on what you need. So remember back when we looked at the form? So we went back here and they said, what do you need? And it kind of probably boils down to how much things you said here. So if you don't need any funding for your game, you just need, say, marketing, or you just need console porting, or you just need business help, the publishing relationship is probably going to be less, I don't know if the word painful is right, but you probably get a bigger stake in what your game is. But unfortunately, I actually honestly can't tell you. But if you are interested, basically, and if you're at the point where you can fill this form out and you've got some, private footage or something to show them, send it off. 5 to 7 days later, they'll give you an answer. So that's interesting. Anyways, Humble Games, new publishing service. Let me know what you think. Comments down below, and I will talk to you all later. Goodbye.